Good evening and welcome to the first and only SGA Presidential Debate. I'm Jacob Hitz, executive producer of SUTV News, and I'll be your moderator for today's debate. We've got three different topics to talk about today between the two SGA presidential candidates, SGA Senator Jordan Newsome-Little and Vice President of Student Affairs Riley Brown. We have discussed topics and we have talked about rules for today's debate. However, no questions have been shared with either candidate and have only been kept between me and a few of the SUTV crew members here helping me put this on. We'll have 1 minute opening statements and 1 minute closing statements for each candidate. Each candidate will have a minute to respond to the question that is asked to them, and we'll discuss and go back and forth between candidates until we run out of steam with said topic. Had a coin toss to decide who gets the first question. The first question goes to Riley. We'll start with our topic on COVID-19. First question for you, Riley. The R3 testing program has requirements for campus groups of gatherings of more than 10 people. Everyone must participate in the program and have a recent negative test and have proof of that in order to get into the event, including those that live off campus. It's required for those that live on campus, optional for those that live off. I know we haven't even finished a full week of this testing program yet, but do you think the testing policy could help attendance for on-campus activities, or do you think the testing policy could drive people away from attending on-campus activities?
Thank you, Jacob, for the question. Jordan, it's great to be talking with you this evening. You know, I've seen firsthand what this testing policy was going to look like, and I helped co-author some of the guidelines related to what you're talking about, Jacob. And after being on campus last semester, you know, I could really see where our student groups were struggling, and I could see where they were doing very well. And I had a lot of student groups telling me we just don't quite have the right amount of members coming to our meetings. And if we could have some sort of ability to meet in person or to meet in a hybrid style, we would be able to have a little bit better attendance and a better student experience. So I do think that this new testing system is going to tremendously help engagement and student group attendance this semester. I think students are going to be able to take the test. They're going to just show proof at the door that they tested for COVID, and they can proceed into the meeting. I really do think that it's something that's going to help engagement, and it's going to make student leaders have a lot easier time in managing their groups and encouraging their members to attend different events. So I am absolutely certain that this will help our campus going forward. The technology is great. A lot of people have worked hard to get it here. It's here, and I think it's going to help us have a very engaging semester.
Question: do you think it helps attendance, or do you think it hurts attendance?
Yes, I'd first like to thank Christopher Clark for his strides to make our campus better. But yes, I do think it will definitely help attendance on campus. I'm currently off of campus, but I have been thinking about coming back. One, because I will be vaccinated as of next week, and two, because I believe that it is safer for students on campus, that now that everyone is regularly getting tested, we're now able to do more events on campus, now starting to heal the disconnect that we've all endured. And I believe it really will help our Shippensburg committee be better.
All right, so Jordan, we'll get another question here for you. Still on COVID, and it's kind of based off of what we just talked about with the new testing program, new guidelines. On-campus groups and organizations are able to get together on campus more, in a sense, than they were in the fall because of the new testing, because of new guidelines. As president, what is your plan for the future of how groups and organizations function with COVID-19? What works that we're doing now, and what doesn't work that we're doing now?
Great question. I would say that weekly testing works very well. I believe the passport system that we currently have is working very well. I believe a few weeks ago when Christopher Clark spoke with us, he said that students will soon be able to visit other residence halls, which I'm really looking forward to for students, because I truly believe that being a community is what will really heal this disconnect. And I really believe that this this R3 testing is what will help students, especially with their mental health. So yes.
And Riley, same question. Do you, what is your plan for adapting with COVID for groups and organizations? What do you think works? What do you think doesn't work along those lines?
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. I've been in many meetings this last year where I have asked administrators and faculty and staff over and over and over again, can we please publicize what we can do as opposed to what we can't do? The student group guidelines that we put out in the fall, and then again this semester, had to balance the two. But I am a very strong proponent of giving groups the tools that they need as to what they can do. The tools to create a hybrid system if they need. Remember, we need to be making sure that we're being equitable to those students who are off campus and still want that student experience. So we need to give them the tools necessary to do that. What has worked is when you give student groups purely the motivation, when you give them the support motivation to do something, they're going to go and do it. I can't tell you how many times I've had questions in my inbox this year. Hey, can we do this? Can we do that? If you give student groups the encouragement to do something, they're going to do it. So that's what has worked. What hasn't worked is telling student groups you can't do this. If you tell them what they can do, they will rise to the occasion. That with the support will get us where we need to be through this next academic year and then beyond COVID.
All right, thank you, Riley. We're going to dive into our next topic, which is about race. Race has become a prominent issue in America over the last year, even more so than it has been over the last 50, 100, 200 years. Even on this campus, race has arisen as an infrequent issue, with a few incidents arising over the last month or two. While you may not have a direct impact on equality on campus, what do you want to focus on to make campus groups more inclusive, or do you think that we do enough as is and there's no need to add anything else? Riley, your take.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob, for the question. I would point out that I think the SGA president is certainly in a position to have a large effect on this issue. Therefore, because they are representative of the student body. So I think it comes down to a couple different things. I think it comes down to pulling over all of our resources together. And yes, reacting to things when they happen, when those unfortunate events happen, we need timely responses that purely state that hate has no place here. But also we need to be proactive about it. That's why last night in my speech, I called for the ELC, the Executive Leadership Committee, to appoint a diversity and inclusion coordinator. This person is going to be a part of SGA, and they're going to help us with our outreach, our programming, and our policies, pulling together all the different resources, meeting with all the different departments on the university that specialize in this area, working with our MSA senators to ensure that SGA is meeting the standards of the 21st century in every program that we put on, every event that we do to get to students to hear their concerns, the type of concerns we're hearing, the policies that we're enacting, and the things that we're supporting. If we can centralize all of those resources into student government and keep ourselves in check with the standards of this century, we will get that done. So I think the SGA president has a large impact because they set that forward vision.
Jordan, same question. What do you want to focus on with making campus groups more inclusive, or do you think that they are inclusive enough?
I can absolutely say that our student groups are not inclusive enough. We do not have an accountability, and I believe the SGA president can instill this accountability on our campus. Students are struggling, they're struggling in all aspects, and I say that enough is enough. Shippensburg was founded in 1871, and during that time, there was a very, very racial tension, and we seem to find ourselves in the same exact area. Riley says that he wants to enable a diversity and inclusion coordinator. However, the Student Government Association already has a diversity and inclusion committee. I would like to rally around our committee, support our committee, uplift our committee, and rally around students who are misrepresented on our campus. So instead of bringing in someone else into SGA, I want to support our committee that we already have.
Riley, do you want to respond to that? Just solely because she mentioned one of your ideas for increasing inclusiveness in campus groups?
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. So that diversity inclusion coordinator will work with that committee. Again, as I said, they will work with the resources that are put in place, but they will be the person that SGA can go to in order to make sure we're doing things right, but also co-leading that committee, working with our external affairs division to ensure our promotions are reaching every student. That person is going to work with the committee and resources that we have available to us. It's a matter of talking with the full student senate, talking with the ELC, and seeing where that person fits in. But yes, I agree 100%. They will work with our diversity and inclusion committee, which will be doing a lot of work next year. But that person is going to be instrumental in developing and coordinating our game plan to combat this issue over the course of the next year.
Jordan, I do have a follow-up question for you. You talked about wanting to uplift the committee that already exists in SGA. Do you have any more specifics for what you plan to do with this committee?
Yes, my plan is as simply as support them. I currently feel as though the committee is not supported, as are any of the committees in our Student Government Association. The current ELC does not speak with senators. I can attest that I have actually communicated with some of them, and some of them do not communicate back with me. So that is a huge problem that our students, especially our students who are within SGA, do not feel supported, do not feel as though they have someone to go to. So if I feel as that, then I know the chair of the committee, the Diversity and Community Inclusion Committee, which is Imani Cameron, who is my running mate. I know she feels the exact same way because I've had these personal conversations with her. So simple, support them.
And Jacob, things go beyond just supporting people. Like I said with this coordinator, we're going to look at the three pieces of student government: outreach, programs, and policies. Those specific avenues of SGA, that's what we do. And so instead of just supporting people, we are going to take a step back in every single thing that we do in ensuring that underrepresented groups and everybody across our community is included in our decision making. Support them. I agree, Jordan. Support them 100%. Support that committee 100%, as we will do for every committee in the Student Government Association. I'm very proud to have led many committee meetings this year for the Student Groups Committee. The senators on my committee, I am super proud of the work they've put in. I'm very appreciative of the work they've put in. And so I understand what it is like to communicate with senators, and that's going to be a top priority as well. Yes, we have to support things, but we have to look specifically at outreach, programming, and policies. And that will be up to the diversity and inclusion coordinator and the leaders of our diversity and inclusion committee to figure out exactly what that's going to look like.
Riley, I'd also like to add that just because we seem like we're doing a lot, that does not mean that we are doing enough. And I think that's currently what you're saying. It doesn't mean that we are doing enough, and simply supporting them is what they truly do actually need. Coming from a student of color, I am a Black woman on this campus. I know the experience of being the only Black person in my classes, being the only Black person in many of the spaces on our campus. And it is not okay. We feel misrepresented. We feel like there's no accountability for any actions that are going on our campus. So we need accountability, we need support, and most of all, we need honesty.
Okay. That was great to hear you two talk about that. Clearly, it is an important subject to both of you, and I'm sure people watching will definitely take that into consideration moving forward with voting next week. We'll move on to our grab bag sort of questions here. Some of these came from people that wrote into SUTV on social media. We asked 4 questions. They were able to provide some to us, and we'll get to them here. First off, this will be for you, Jordan. We have lots of student groups on campus, like student media, like us, MSA, APB, so on and so on. How can you find a balance with budgeting for all 140 plus SGA recognized organizations?
That's a great question. I actually thought a lot about this question, not the specific question because I didn't know the question, but specifically budget next year because I know the budget will take a hit due to the fact that students aren't on campus. So activity fees are all over the place at the moment. And I have full trust in the vice president of finance position. So any problems that arise, I will direct them to whomever is elected vice president of finance. And that is how I delegate.
Lee, same question. How do you find a balance with budgeting for all 140 plus organizations that SGA recognizes?
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. I'm very proud this year to have changed the landscape of how student groups are funded. I came into the position where we had a very inequitable funding process. We had SGA recognized groups and we had campus registered groups. And there was issues of, well, some get funding, but some don't. And there was all these very little weird nuances. And so what we did was we got rid of those categories and made every single group SGA recognized. We allowed our Greek community, our Greek councils, the IFC and PanHealth to receive funding for the very first time, which was one of my goals at the beginning of the year. So we have changed the landscape as far as equitable funding for student groups, and we're going to continue to fund groups who have great ideas for programs and great mission statements to contribute to our community. So we're going to work on funding all of our student organizations in the best way that we can. However, we do have to recognize that there are some financial constraints that we are facing as a university as a result from loss of income in the student activity fee and other areas of revenue. And so it's going to be a matter of working with the university and seeing if they can fund bits and pieces, of our financial situations. Because if we go at the rate we're going, we're not going to have enough money left in our reserves, and students are not going to get the funding. They're not going to get the proper student experience that they so well deserve. So we have done things to change the funding landscape this year, but we're going to be mindful going forward and having very frank conversations with the university about how we tackle the challenges that face student government and student groups financially.
All right, next question. How will you advocate for student media's right to operate and report on campus? Riley, this one's for you.
A free press is one of the most basic and fundamental rights that we have in this country, and I am glad to support campus media in the future. I was actually thinking about this last night after our formal meeting before our speeches. One of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is inviting SUTV, which I know they're there at just about every public meeting, as well as the slate, and offering sit-down time right after formal meetings to discuss what happens. I know a lot of times there are questions that come up and it's kind of, through email or through other means. But I'm looking to sit down with campus media just about every Thursday after SGA meets to answer any questions, to get clarifications, or recognizing you all have deadlines to meet. And so making sure that we're being transparent, we're being honest, we're giving it to the campus media straight on what's happening, how we can do better, what we're doing well. So I think transparency is key, and recognizing that you all are a valued part of our community, giving you the access that you deserve.
Jordan, same question. How will you advocate for student media's right to operate and report on campus?
I think the first thing I want to do is communicate with you, talk with you all before we even start our semester so that I can get to know you, to get to know your goals so that I can better support your goals. I would also want to emphasize that I support your First Amendment right, not only yours, but the everyone on this campus. I support your right to speak how you want and to utilize this beautiful thing. I love SUTV because, like I said earlier, I love the area of SUTV. So one, yes, like Riley said, we need to be accountable and honest, and we need to be transparent. But we also just seriously need to support you guys. You do a lot of work. You do a lot of work. So we really just need to support you guys further.
I've got a follow-up, and really it's for both of you. We can start with Jordan. How do you better support the media?
Great question. Just meet with you, talk with you, and learn your needs. I don't know exactly what you all need, but I can learn that through conversation. Whether I'm elected or not, I still want to learn about SUTV and further support you.
Riley, same question. How do you better support the media? How do you do it?
Again, it's all about access, Jacob. As I mentioned, Thursdays right after the public meeting happens, when the information is fresh, when the news is there, making sure that questions are answered that evening or promptly after. I just got some emails in my inbox today about some questions from Thursday's public meeting, right? So making sure that campus media has the access, that they have the answers to their questions in a timely manner, however that looks like. Again, Thursdays after the public meeting would be important to discuss any questions, but it's being accessible. That's really what it comes down to. Because you all are on a tight deadline to get information out. News is instant these days, so it's important to be accessible and understand that campus media's role is important, and they need information in a very timely manner.
Final question before we get into closing statements, and I realize I talked about opening statements and then we jumped right in with questions, so we never got to do an opening statement, but we'll give you plenty of time for closing statements. So last question, Riley, this is for you. What distinguishes you from Jordan? What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
So I've had the ability to be on campus this year. I've been able to see how student groups function, how they're feeling, what worked and what hadn't worked, as you mentioned in your previous question, Jacob. And so I've been able to work with our students on a level and understand where everybody is at in terms of this pandemic and how we face it. And I've seen the resilience, and I understand how resilience is important. And next year, I'm going to take that knowledge, the people I've met, the discussions I've had. I'm going to meet with the choir next week. They're practicing for the first time in person. I met with the band who has had the ability to practice and play in person. I've seen how emotional that is and what that means to people. So I understand what students are going through because I've been here. And I'm going to take that knowledge into the next year and really step up our game as far as our comeback and our resilience after this pandemic.
Jordan, same question. What distinguishes you from Riley?
So I actually have not been on campus since spring of 2019. Unfortunately, I lost two grandmothers to COVID and one to cancer. So my mental health took a hit. However, I have never stopped supporting our campus and supporting our students from being home. Resilience is something that I know very, very well because I continue to be a student leader. I continue to work for the betterment of our campus. Furthermore, I believe that while our campus, and we should emphasize one family, I also believe that Shippensburg is made up of a host of different families. And I think we should emphasize the importance of community over family, because sometimes family is forced. Sometimes family is not real. Sometimes family is the one thing that we need to get away from. And we need community, we need truth, we need honesty, and we need accountability on our campus.
It's that time for closing statements from the two of you. Jordan, we will start with you.
You heard a lot about change tonight, but the question I'd like to ask you all is, what embodies change? Who do you think will be the action behind the change? Envision the university you want. An embodiment of the Raider Way, a place where everyone has a seat at a table, where there is no place for hate. It's nice to call us one family, but instead, let's give each group recognition and accept our unique differences. We need to put students first, and I will continue to listen to you. I will make plans of action, and we will set sail for a little something new.
Riley, your closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Jordan. It's been great talking with you this evening. I told the story last night in my speech, and I think it rings true when we talk about family, when we talk about challenges that we face. This guy's walking down the street, down the sidewalk, when he falls into this hole. The walls are so steep, he can't get out. All of a sudden, a preacher walks by, and the guy says, Father, I'm down in this hole. Can you help me out? Preacher writes out a prayer, throws it in the hole, and moves on. All of a sudden, a doctor walks by, and this person says, hey, can you help me out? I'm stuck in this hole. Doctor writes out a prescription, throws it in the hole, and moves on. All of a sudden, a friend walks by and our guy says, hey, Joe, it's me. I'm down in this hole. Can you help me out? Joe jumps down in the hole and our guy looks at him and says, what are you, crazy? Now we're both down here. Joe turns to his friend and says, yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out. As Jordan said, we have specific groups on this campus and we should recognize them. But as a collective family, we need to be making sure that we can jump down in that hole with whoever's in trouble and recognizing that hole is different for everybody. And as we come together as our campus and yes, as one family, we will have the ability to recognize when others are struggling, help them out, jump down in that hole with them, and bring our campus to a place where everybody is represented, everybody has a voice, and we can be engaging and have a great college experience that everybody deserves. Thank you all again.
And that is the first and only SGA Presidential Debate. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check your email on Monday, March 1st, so that way you can vote. Voting closes on Thursday of next week, March 4th. We will cover the results right here on SUTV News once we get them in. Thank you again to the candidates. Thank you to SGA, and thank you for watching. I'm Jacob Hitz from all of us at SUTV News. Thank you and good night.